Today, we will come to an extremely attractive series, how the main character goes from an incompetent character to the strongest assassin in the world. At the opening of the series, we learn that the path connecting our world with another dimension is called a gate, and the demon's residence is the dark dungeon. Those who hunt monsters are called hunters. Our male protagonist is Song Jinwoo, a hunter, but a hunter so weak that even the most basic dark dungeon has difficulty. He is known as the world's worst hunter, rank E, but because he wants to quickly have money to pay hospital bills for his seriously ill mother, he has to sell his life to do dangerous work like this. However, the most difficult dungeon hidden among the D-rank dungeons is the double cave. Finally, after a while of fighting, Sung Jinwoo could not win against the monsters, and he had to helplessly accept his death. When the stone monster took a spear and pierced Sung Jinwoo's body, causing him to almost disappear, he suddenly woke up in the hospital, and from there, he had a system board that was only his. See, it asked him if he had a daily mission. Would he accept it? He vaguely agreed that it showed a lot of daily missions as long as he practiced according to the said mission and hunted monsters, he would be promoted. From that day on, Song Jinwoo diligently practiced and killed many monsters from the weakest hunter to the strongest S-rank hunter. Starting the series, we return to the scene in Seoul, Korea. Sung Jinwoo was on his way to his mission. At a construction site in Seoul, an uncle also known as a hunter was buying coffee when suddenly a voice from afar called out, "Mr. Kim." The uncle was surprised to see his old teammate again. He happily approached to greet Mr. Kim. He happily asked, "Wait, back, what are you doing? Didn't you leave because you didn't want to become a hunter?" He said happily, "Because of giving birth to a second child." So Mr. Kim happily replied, "Yes, there is no other way but to go on raids to make a lot of money." Mr. Back seemed a bit worried because he hadn't gone for a long time and was afraid he would fall behind. While he was complaining, our male protagonist arrived. A guy patted Jinwoo's shoulder and said it was cold, right? Good job. Jinwoo also happily greeted the other guy, then went to greet Uncle Kim saying shik. The other Back curiously asked Mr. Kim, "Is he a very strong hunter?" Everyone was happy to see him. Mr. Kim happily replied, He came in right after you left, so you didn't know his nickname is the weakest person in the world." He suddenly asked again, "Weakest in the world? Isn't it the strongest?" S-rank hunters are considered the strongest, while Mr. Song is considered the weakest. He was so weak that he even got injured in an E-rank dungeon. Mr. Back still doesn't believe it and keeps asking 2 or 3 times, but Mr. Kim still confirms it is so. "That means the dungeon we go into will also be weak," Mr. Kim told him. "Keep quiet. Mr. Song will listen," but Jinwoo here has already heard all the words of those old men. He was bored and went to buy coffee when the staff informed him that he was out of coffee. He absent-mindedly looked up at the sky, even the coffee was bad. The employee apologized about this, after which Jinwoo left. Suddenly, a girl approached from afar. "Jinwoo, are you sick again?" He replied, Oh, Judy also participated in this raid." She worriedly replied, "Of course, but that's not the problem. Why is there a wound on your face?" Jinwoo gently replied, "I don't know, I got caught while hunting." "Ha ha." She continued to ask, "Really? What actually happened? Have you been to the hospital yet?" Jinwoo replied dejectedly, "Yes, we were in an E-rank dungeon, and I was the only one injured." Ju-hee suddenly asked, "Huh, how is it possible?" He continued boredly, "Everyone was of a higher rank, so he didn't invite a healer." Ju-hee says, "Even so, they really didn't take the healer with them just because they would be safe." Jinwoo calmly said, "It's okay, it's just because I'm the weakest, I'm used to it." Ju-hee also knows that, right? She sadly did not answer further. Jinwoo stood up. "It seems everyone is ready. Let's go." At the gate connecting to the dungeon, a long-haired man stood up and said, "We are about to go hunting. Although I am not really qualified to say this, I want to be the captain in this raid." Everyone agreed. Everyone happily replied, "Mr. Song, you are the highest ranked hunter here. We don't see any problem. As Mr. Song, you can trust him. It's been a long time since I've witnessed his talent." Everyone who heard that agreed. Jinwoo happily said, "Please take care of us, Uncle Song Chayul." Then everyone excitedly went inside. The 2 staff outside looked at the direction people were entering the gate. The guy next to them asked, "What are you thinking?" The employee replied, "Oh, it's just about Mr. Song Jinwoo. I'm a bit guilty that we don't have coffee for him." The other guy heard that and replied, "Is that the E-rank hunter boy? What class battle is this?" The other guy looked worried. "I heard them say it was a D-rank battle. I've never seen some Jinwoo come out of battle unscathed since I've been working here. A D-rank battle. It won't be a big deal. Let's go." Inside, Joo-hee was healing Jinwoo when she asked, "Jinwoo, why did you take such a risk to become a hunter? Fighting like this will only add to the trouble." Jinwoo heard that and immediately apologized, but Joo-hee said that she didn't say this to receive an apology in return, but that she was just worried about Jinwoo. Outside, everyone was fighting fierce monsters. Joo-hee looked at the battle and thought to herself, "At least this battle is almost over." Here the captain told everyone, "It seems everything is done." Mr. Kim happily joked with Mr. Baek that he wasn't dead yet. Mr. Baek replied, "It's as easy as pie." Joo-hee here, while healing his wounds, worriedly asked, "Jinwoo, do you have any reason not to give up being a hunter?" After listening, he wasn't sincere and just joked, "I became a hunter for fun. If I didn't do this, I would die of boredom." In his heart, he thought that telling him the real reason would be even more embarrassing. Hearing that, Joo-hee replied, "S-level entertainment will let you go to the other world twice already. Stop laughing. Your wound will be open now." Here the captain is distributing rewards. Because Jin is only an E-rank hunter, killing C-rank monsters is impossible, so he only gave him an E-rank stone. Jinwoo holds the stone in his hand. "Sad, after all the injuries and troubles, I only got an E-rank stone. I bet my life just to get this, it's so small." One person in the group discovered that there was still another path. Hearing that, everyone gathered to the mouth of the cave to take a look. The captain used his strength to wave a fire to go inside to take a look. After a while, he said, "Everyone, listen here, the gate will still be open, as long as the boss is still alive." Since the gate opened, it seems like the boss is still inside. Normally we would contact headquarters and wait for orders, but if other hunters find it first, then our profits will decrease. So I hope everyone will kill it together. This is quite dangerous, so we will vote and there will be no complaints after voting. Mr. Kim and Baek and a few others enthusiastically agreed, but Joo-hee and the rest objected. The result was 8 votes for and 8 against, leaving only Jinwoo's final decision. The captain looked towards Jinwoo and asked him what his opinion was. Thinking of his younger brother who was about to go to college and his mother who was seriously ill, he did not hesitate and decided to participate this time. Everyone heads inside. They've been walking for 40 minutes and then the gate closes within an hour after defeating the boss, so we'll have 20 minutes. Jinwoo walked next to Joo-hee and told her, "Sorry." She turned to ask about something. He replied awkwardly because he forced everyone to come here after I chose to agree. "It's okay if you frown, so don't worry about me." Jinwoo continued to ask if she was really okay. Joo-hee gets angry and then honestly says, "No, I'm really not okay at all. Just angry. Right now, if you get stabbed once, you will have a hole in your heart, and not only that but also your arms and legs. Not to mention I rarely recover them. What makes you agree? Do you have a head injury or something?" He sighed. Sorry, but inside he was very confused. He actually only survived because Lady Joo-hee was a B-rank healer. Once again, he was in debt to her. Joo-hee angrily asked, "Are you sorry?" Seeing Jinwoo like that, she wasn't angry anymore. "If that's your apology, then how about giving me some food?" Seeing Jinwoo silent, Joo-hee turned to ask, "Why don't you like to eat with me?" Jinwoo blushed and awkwardly replied, "No, of course not." They were talking to each other when everyone announced that it was in the boss's room. One of them was surprised. "I have never seen a room with this kind of door before. It's so strange." Uncle Kim said, "Hey, isn't this a dangerous place?" The other captain replied, "Are you planning to return empty-handed after coming here? We can be the first to leave this dungeon. Everyone who wants to leave can leave. I'll go in alone if I have to." One person in the crowd reassured, "Mr. Song Chi-yul's skills are superhuman. His attack style is similar to that of C-rank hunters. This man, if he wasn't in his 60s, he could be in any major association. Since we came here, because we trusted him, we were able to follow him until the end." The door gradually opened. People entered a temple, and the fire pillars were gradually lit. Some people replied they had never seen a dungeon like this before. They then began to explore the surrounding area. It seemed like no one had been here for a long time. The statues here look a bit strange, all holding something different. One of them is even holding a musical instrument. There are quite a few of these here, which is scary because when you realize there are so many of them. Isn't there someone staring at everyone? Stop talking about these negative things, another person exclaimed. Wow, look at that, it's so huge. That thing isn't a boss, right? The person next to him said. Don't think so. It's all just a statue. Jinwoo stood next to the statue and said, it's the biggest one here. There's nothing like a monster here. Not even one. Suddenly one of them discovered something sealed by magic. He called, Mr. Song, there is something written here. I thought you came here. Everyone approaches an ancient tombstone, on which is runic writing. Then they began to decipher the contents of the Parthenon temple. First, worship the Lord. Second, praise the Lord. Third, prove your faith. Next to Ju-hee, she held Jinwoo's hand tightly and said, that big statue, the eyeball is moving. It's looking at us. Jinwoo asked her if she ever looked wrong, but suddenly he also noticed a strange feeling. The space is very quiet. The air becomes colder. The captain continued reading. Those who do not listen to these conditions will never return to life. Suddenly, everyone panicked because the door suddenly slammed shut. The girl in the group panicked. What should we do now? A tall guy in the group stood up and said, you all talk nonsense. It was a mistake to come here. Then he walked towards the door and was about to open it to leave. He just put his hand on the handle to open the door. The captain shouted in panic, wait, don't put your hand on the door handle. But it seemed it was too late. The statue next to the door made a sound and cut the other guy's body. Blood splattered, causing everyone who witnessed it to panic. Mr. Back shouted, what the hell is that thing moving about? Do we have to fight them? Jinwoo's spine was cold here. Wait, if that's true, suddenly the statue's eyes light up. Jinwoo thought back to what rank that guy had just now. If he was D rank, at worst he would still be stronger than an E rank like him. But it was only one blow. Wait, this dungeon is D rank at best. I've never heard of monsters stronger than them in a D rank dungeon. The captain here said, if these statues can move, don't tell me it can move too. Jinwoo looked at the giant statue and remembered when he first went on an expedition. He lost his group and then lost his way. Next, he was secretly attacked by the E-rank monster and had to be hospitalized for many weeks, trapped in the dungeon until he nearly starved to death. Even so, they only belonged to low-rank dungeons and he had put his life on this path. Others traded magic stones for powerful weapons to kill stronger monsters and gain more treasure, but he couldn't do that. Always don't buy a bare sword that can break at any time, and if you have a healer, your wounds will be healed if they aren't too severe. There are days when he's tired and doesn't care about those sarcastic words. Returning to reality, Jinwoo seemed to realize something. He quickly told everyone to quickly lie down on the ground. From the statue's eye shot out a terrifying laser beam. Everyone saw this and immediately lay down. A stream of terrifying power passed by. Those who followed Jinwoo's orders survived, and those who ran away died. Mr. Kim asked Mr. Back, is it okay? Mr. Back said that he was fine. Mr. Kim continued that it seemed like he couldn't avoid that attack. If Sung hadn't shouted, we could have been wiped out. Ju-hee was so scared after the attack just now that she fainted. The captain shouted, don't stand up. Keep your position. If we stand up, it will attack again. Jinwoo turned to look at Mr. Song. He patted his shoulder and said, Ms. Ju-hee cannot suppress her fear. That's why she can only do normal attacks even though she is a B-rank healer. But here it's not very normal. Only those who move die, and those who survive listen to his words. Then he realized something. Wait, didn't you realize what was about to happen? Jinwoo replied that he just felt the danger. Then he suddenly realized that Mr. Song had lost an arm. He said he would be fine. He needed someone to help him stop the bleeding. He didn't understand why. He had never explored places higher than D rank. He looked up and asked Sung, what rank do you think they are? He has experience going to rank B once or twice, but this seems to be rank A or even rank S. Just now there was the Parthenon temple's orders. The first is to worship the Lord, the second is to praise the Lord, and the third is to prove one's faith to others. Everyone who does not listen to these commandments will never return alive. They are written here. Jinwoo came forward and said, Lord Song here, I think it can only be that thing, right? The two of them looked at the tall statues and said, destroying them all would take a lot of time. Jinwoo looked at Mr. Song's arm and asked, are you okay? The wound is bleeding non-stop. He weakly replied, I only brought 3 healers because I thought this trip would end quickly, but with just one blow, the body was gone. One of them was losing his temper and losing control, even though a B-rank healer like Ju-hee had never experienced something like this before. It may be difficult for us to receive a recovery from them. For now, I think we should keep this position as it is. When the situation calms down, then we will try to run, although this is not easy at all. One of them lost his temper. He stood up and shouted, I don't want to die like this. It was very difficult for me to get into a big guild, so I can't die here. Mr. Song shouted loudly, what are you doing? But he was really crazy, rushing at high speed towards the door intending to destroy it. Just in the moment he thought he was going to break the door, the power source from the statue's eyes was shot out. Everyone was terrified. Its power was too terrible. In less than a few seconds he turned into dust. None of them could see that scene directly. Jinwoo here angrily punched his hand on the ground. Damn, they could arbitrarily kill a person if they wanted. Mr. Song added that it was easier than kicking a monster. Jinwoo wonders. They could kill us all if they wanted, but why don't they? It's not like other monsters that blindly attack others. The guardian statues will attack those who touch the door, and this large statue will shoot deadly light when we move. They attacked according to the rules. He realized that perhaps they operated according to the rules of this room. It turned out to be the commands of Carthenon. Exactly that. Then he asked Mr. Song, what was the first commandment? He looked over at the stele and read, worship the Lord. He then said that this room has a rule, if that's true. Mr. Song was trying to stop him when he noticed that Jinwoo's eyes did not look like he was looking for death. Jinwoo gradually stood up and walked towards the statue, starting to attack. Jinwoo realized that he was about to turn into burnt meat like the people before him, so he quickly knelt down and looked gently towards him. That giant statue. As expected, it only attacks those who push themselves a little higher. Finally, he partly understood the meaning of the first commandment. Jinwoo saw that and shouted loudly. Everyone quickly bowed down to the statue. Mr. Kim here replied, has Sung Jinwoo lost his mind? Mr. Beck also added, what the hell are you talking about? But the calmest person was still Captain Song. He turned to ask Jinwoo if he had found anything, right? With a determined look in his eyes, he replied, yes, it will attack us if we raise our bodies a little higher. To avoid being attacked, we must lower our bodies to a level that is just enough to respect the Lord in its true sense, is that we must bow down to it. So let's bow down to it. The captain heard that and asked, this is just a guess, right? Jinwoo said, it starts now. Seeing that, the captain also nodded in agreement because the only way was this. Everyone who heard that immediately bowed their heads before the statue. Mr. Kim thinks it's just to live. Will we finally get out of here? Just by being human like this. After a while of kneeling at the statue, they finally stopped their attack. A goosebumps-inducing silence enveloped them. The statue flashed a deadly, evil smile looking at the group of people. Mr. Back thought to himself, what is that smile? Is it expressing emotions? Has it changed? How many people has it attacked before? How many people will survive? How long? How long do we have to do this? Mr. Back looked up and said, it seems it has stopped attacking. Mr. Kim next to him couldn't believe it. He thought it was trying to do something else. If we simply wait for the person in front of us, everything will be okay. Mr. Back suddenly stood up, making Mr. Kim want to pee all over his pants. Mr. Back happily said, see, it doesn't attack anymore. Everyone tried to stand up, but it really didn't do anything anymore. Some people were surprised and asked, no way, is everything over already? We did it. But the one who realized the situation right now was probably only Jinwoo. He panicked inside. No, not yet. Suddenly a tremor shook the whole gloomy room. The sitting statue stood up and began to walk towards the group of people. The feet, bigger than the pillars of the temple, went wherever they went and the ground was destroyed. Mr. Kim said in panic, wait, it hasn't stopped yet. Don't tell me we're about to face it. Captain Song quickly turned around and asked, does Jinwoo have any other options? He was now panicking and stammering under the captain's urging. Do you really have no ideas left? One of them asked, "I don't know what we should do now." The statue continued to walk forward. Everyone started to panic. Jinwoo here said, "That's right, this dungeon is based on these commands given. First, honor the Lord. Second, praise the Lord. Therein lies our key." Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment and praised. If it was praising then. One of them said that he used to be in the church choir. "If I just sang and praise, I could do it." After saying that, he walked forward and resounded with praises. The people next to him didn't know if it was really effective, but Jinwoo realized that it wasn't for him. This is a prayer to God. The foot gradually lowered and immediately brought the other guy back to the Mother Earth. Everyone on this side was running around, eyes wide open, mouth wide open, and the statue kept chasing them to kill them. Looking at the extremely cruel scene, people looked like ants being crushed. The captain's group and the male lead Jinwoo realized that walking together would be very dangerous. So they decided to separate. Mr. Back ran and thought about his wife and children. He had just become a father of 2 children and could not die in a place like this. Mr. Back hid behind a standing statue. Unexpectedly, Mr. Kim shouted for Mr. Back from behind him. Before he could return, the statue holding the sword slashed Pak's body in half. They kept running away in panic. Jinwoo was thinking about the commandment praising the Lord. "I don't know how to praise it. It's truly a devil." Suddenly, Jinwoo realized that the statues holding weapons only attacked when they got close, and there were some statues holding musical instruments that didn't seem to attack them. To confirm his guess, Jinwoo took the risk and called everyone to go behind the statues holding musical instruments. Captain Song tried to approach, but it actually started playing music without attacking them. One by one, each statue resounded with a pleasant sound, as if shaking off some of their fear. Jinwoo and Ju-hee also approached a statue holding a drum, but didn't understand why it didn't play the instrument. Noticing that the giant statue was coming closer to her, Ju-hee now realized that the boundary between life and death was so thin that it was just like a small thread. Ju-hee saw Jinwoo's leg being severed, so she tried to stop the bleeding and treat him. Jinwoo expressed, "It's okay, Ju-hee, there's no need to do anything." But Ju-hee is really worried right now. She reassures Jinwoo, "Just try to lie still for a little longer." She promised to heal Jinwoo, but because she had consumed too much energy in the battle, Ju-hee's nose bled. The captain and a few people who saw this incident also exclaimed, "Really bad, I wonder if she is okay. Maybe he will escape death." Mr. Kim here sadly said, "We departed with 17 people, but now there are only 6 people left." Captain Song added, "And now 2 people are seriously injured." At this time, the anger in Mr. Kim's heart also arose. He said bad words to Captain Song, but the captain remained silent and accepted those things. That giant demon statue started approaching the group of people again. Mr. Kim angrily cursed the statue, but it didn't care and just held out his arm. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an altar emerged from underground, making everyone there extremely surprised. Everyone still did not understand what was happening. Jinwoo said that this is the altar. Captain Song asked, "Do you know these mysterious things?" Jinwoo continued to explain. The altar was the place where disciples sacrificed cows, pigs, sheep, and children or virgins to their gods. And that is also the last commandment that proves faith. Mr. Kim here pulled out a long sword from his palm. "I don't know how, but Mr. Song, this means we have to sacrifice someone, right?" He brought gradually his sword towards the captain, his expression still holding that angry expression. "The one who brought us all here. Song Chi-yul, that's you. Someone just boasted that he had a wife and 2 children who were easily cut in half and 10 people lost their lives. So can you take responsibility for this? Now let's prove it." Jinwoo sat next to him and couldn't watch anymore, so he said. Mr. Kim Sang-shik spoke too much. Before he could finish, Mr. Kim shouted, "Shut up and stay there." The team leader's face darkened, his heart filled with regret. Mr. Kim is right, I have to pay the price for this. I want to go there myself, so stay away from me. Jinwoo here is angry. It's not his fault, we all agreed to come here. It's despicable to now blame all the blame on him. The captain's figure gradually approached the altar, and without hesitation, Captain Song stepped forward. Suddenly, a flash of fire appeared on the altar. Mr. Kim next to him didn't know what was going on. The captain asked again, "Mr. Song, is this what we do?" Jinwoo over here seemed to have noticed something. A fire. Then he wanted to prove his guess again, so he told everyone to take him to the altar. There were two people, a man and a woman, who agreed to take Jinwoo up there. When the three of them arrived as expected, 3 more flames flared up. Jinwoo weakly asked the captain, "Do you think other hunters will come to save everyone if we stay here too long?" The captain says that today marks 1 week after the gates open, that the statues will move when reinforcements arrive. Jinwoo continued, "They can also ignore this gate because it is only in the deep rake range." Captain Som also agreed with that idea because there was nothing for the guild members to come here. Jinwoo began to think that after 7 days the gate would completely reopen, and the monsters would be able to escape if it was completely opened. Hunts take place to close the gate. Usually the boss must be destroyed to close the gate within 7 days. If we fail now, it means the monsters will be able to escape. Jinwoo decided to tell 2 more people to step in here. Each person would respond to a lit fire, and it only really started when everyone stepped in here to light all the fires. Joo-hee and Mr. Kim looked at each other and then trusted Jinwoo and walked in. Suddenly, blue flames enveloped their group of people, and the powerful energy from the flames caused the door to open. Everyone was extremely surprised. Everyone thought that after they had escaped, nothing else would happen. Everyone is now in panic. What now? They're coming at us. They're all moving out of position. Seeing the soldiers starting to advance towards everyone becoming more and more chaotic, Jinwoo reassured, "Ms. Joo-hee, don't close your eyes." At this moment, Kim realized it was like the game he used to play when he was a child. They would all come closer if they looked away, so everyone don't take your eyes off them. The girl next to Jinwoo couldn't bear it anymore. She took the risk and ran out of the altar. Jinwoo was so helpless. But something unexpected happened. The girl walked through the soldiers, but they did not attack. They asked, "Mr. Song, how could she escape?" She was still alive, but they noticed the door had closed a little when she walked through, meaning that the door will truly close if the flames are completely extinguished. A guy saw that and immediately pushed Jinwoo down and then left behind the girl. The remaining 4 people were wilded. Jinwoo said, "Don't move out. We can't lose another person. If there aren't enough people to look at those stone statues, we will die." The captain impatiently asked, "Mr. Song, what is going on? Please give instructions." Jinwoo said, "We have to stay here and look at those stone statues until the blue flames burn out. The blue flames are time. We will all be released when those fires are extinguished." Mr. Kim calmly said, "Mr. Song, maybe you are right. But then the gate will close completely when those fires are extinguished. Can you be sure? To be honest, a weak person like you can be useful at times like this. I always looked down on you and really didn't expect anything from you when you joined our group. Many people died when entering this room. The rest were able to survive thanks to you. After all, you have matters under control here. I can continue to live thanks to you. Thank you." Then tears welled up in his eyes. "I also have a family. I don't want to die here." His pitiful cry sounded like it was tearing his heart apart. He gently left. "I think I can't stay here any longer." Jinwoo panicked. The fire continued to be extinguished. Jinwoo could no longer bear the long-held fear that gradually broke out. "You cried so much then he left us here." Captain Kim said sadly. "The gate was almost closed. I finally realized it, but it seems a bit late. You can escape from here. The door will close completely when there is only 1 person left in the room, right? You both have a long time left, so get out of here quickly." Saying that, he asked Joo-hee to help Jinwoo out. Joo-hee agreed, but when she stood up, her legs were shaking and she couldn't stand up anymore. She also didn't understand what happened to herself. Mr. Kim said she was weak due to using too much energy trying to heal Mr. Song. Jinwoo sat there slowly and said, "Can you help Ms. Joo-hee escape from here?" The captain refused at first, but Jinwoo asked him, "So who will take Ms. Joo-hee out?" He couldn't answer anymore and Joo-hee firmly refused. She just wanted to stay here with Jinwoo. He told Joo-hee, "I promised to buy you something to eat, remember?" Jinwoo slowly handed out the E-rank energy stone to Joo-hee. Joo-hee's tears slowly fell. She shouted, "There is no time to joke." In the end, she was knocked unconscious by the captain. He lifted Joo-hee on his shoulder, looked at Jinwoo, and said, "Sorry, but it's true, there isn't much time left to escape from here. Jinwoo advised to take care of Joo-hee. Captain Song agreed and the two of them left, leaving Jinwoo alone in loneliness. He watched their figures leave. Jinwoo was somewhat relieved. Finally, he was the only one left. Thanks God. The soldiers gradually approached Jinwoo. He looked at the sword that Uncle Kim had left behind and picked it up. Before lying down here, I should at least kill at least one. Two soldiers fiercely held spears and came in front of Jinwoo. The spear from above pierced Jinwoo's body, causing blood to splatter. He was thrown some distance and landed on the altar. In the end, his whole body could not move while he was about to die. The intense life still remained in Jinwoo's will. He didn't want to die, he didn't want to die. If given the chance, he would like to do it again. The soldier's sword slashed down on the altar with an explosive burst of energy. Space seems to stop. A system panel appears out of nowhere, alerting you that you have completed all the necessary requirements from the mission, Courage of the Weak. Are you surprised and don't know what it is? System reminder, you don't have much time left. If you refuse, your heart will stop beating after 0.02 seconds. Do you want to receive? Jinwoo thinks if he accepts, he won't die anymore. If I had the chance, I would take it. After accepting, the system will notify you. Welcome, player. The beam of light emitted a boom sound and everything disappeared. The next morning, our male protagonist, Jinwoo, wakes up in a hospital. He was confused, thinking it was a dream, but why was he in the hospital? Suddenly, two strangers walked in from outside. He finally woke up. Jinwoo didn't know who this person was, so he asked. Seeing that, he showed his business card and continued. Sorry if we startled you. He is an inspector belonging to the Korean Hunter Association. What is the matter with the inspectors coming to see me? After a while of talking, Jinwoo realized he had been sleeping for 3 days. He worriedly asked about the situation of Joo-hee and Mr. Song. The two inspectors confirmed that they were all safe, but Mr. Song lost an arm, so returning to work was very difficult. Maybe it's time for him to retire. If he has to choose, Ms. Joo-hee is being treated for psychological trauma after that incident. The inspector wasn't sure if they still wanted to go back to being hunters in the future. As for luxury craftsman Kim Sang-shik, we cannot yet draw conclusions. When he heard this, the male protagonist interrupted. That's enough. Jinwoo sadly recalled the bad scenes at that time and was extremely confused inside. The inspector continued to talk more about the situation. The number of people who escaped from the double cave was 6 people. Although hunters often face danger, they rarely fall into cases of carnage like this. They told him when they arrived at the room where he was alone on the altar. There is no statue like the one described before. Jinwoo shouted loudly, "No way!" They continued to say that they would not believe this incident without the similar testimonies of the survivors. Although it is slightly different, or if some parts of the deceased are not found there. We thought of another case. These are just our guesses, but we believe that you have received a double awakening. Jinwoo heard the double awakening, and his eyes showed surprise. They explained, a hunter will receive fixed stats after receiving an awakening or some other ability. Even so, there were a few other hunters who received another awakening. They can start out as C rank and grow to A rank, or from B rank to S rank. They then gave Jinwoo an energy meter. All he had to do was put his hand on it. The detective thought, if that's true, then a high-level monster as described by the survivors and a normal hunter wouldn't be able to cut them down. Only in the case of receiving A rank or S rank can this problem be resolved. But the monsters that had disappeared couldn't rule out the possibility that Hunter Jinwoo had received a double awakening after witnessing that he alone survived there. The indicator on the machine shows a score of 10. The disappointed inspector kept sarcasm in his heart. It's true that trash is still trash, no better than even the lowest E rank can get 70 points. Jinwoo curiously asked what the results were, but the other inspector said there was nothing more to do with him. And then they left, leaving Jinwoo alone in the room. However, Jinwoo here thought, it seems that no one can see the system panel appearing in front of him. Jinwoo raised his hand to touch the stab wound on his chest. Everything seemed to be disappearing, and he was completely healed. He wondered if he should tell everyone about the system board. He used his hand to point at the system board to try to see when suddenly his younger sister came in from outside and asked, "What are you doing?" She worriedly went in and continued, "Is your head still injured? I told you not to get hurt again. But do you know how worried I am about you? Jinwoo looks sad and apologized to his sister. She acts fine, but why is he always injured? Jinwoo didn't answer, but in his heart he sighed. You almost left her behind. I don't think this is really a dream. The younger sister continued to mumble that if Jinwoo was still injured like that, she would drop out of school and go to work. Then you won't need to work as a hunter anymore. Jinwoo asked Jinwoo if she saw this. Jinwoo was confused and asked what? Jinwoo pointed forward and said there was a system board like in a video game. How can I show it slash? Jinwoo angrily turned around and asked if his head was really not injured. If so, he could try to open it and see. Jinwoo doubted and opened the letter to see if it could indeed open the message. Jinwoo, after chatting for a while, said that he had something to do so he had to go. The system board in front of Jinwoo continuously appeared with reward quest messages. He remembered that he had received something similar to this before while lying on the altar. He saw a mission message to become stronger and shouted the command to see it. The system panel opens up with tasks that need to be done, warning that if you do not complete the daily tasks, you will be punished. Jinwoo finished reading and exclaimed, "Ha ha ha, this is a joke, right? How can a person in the hospital have the energy to do such things? How will I watch it again?" That night, the mission's time gradually ran out and the system sounded a notification that you had not completed the mission, and now you will be taken to the penalty area for a certain period of time. Hearing that, Jinwoo gradually opened his eyes and was startled because there was an earthquake happening. The ground gradually cracked, then the scene changed. The ground has now turned into sand in the desert. Jinwoo was horrified to realize he was in the desert. He still couldn't believe it, thinking it was just a dream. Suddenly a monster came from behind to attack Jinwoo. An extremely huge centipede. The mission system sounded. Penalty mission. Survive. The target survives until time runs out. Time, 4 hours. Jinwoo is sweating profusely. You can't be kidding me, can you? He ran wildly in the harsh desert sun, the beast still chasing after him. Its body is nearly a kilometer long. After a while, Jinwoo finally ran in the desert for 4 hours. While the monster was about to devour Jinwoo, time ran out. The system notified him that he had completed the punishment mission. The scene changed. Jinwoo was slowly brought back to the hospital sweating profusely. Jinwoo's almost dead face showed us how hard he tried. The system sounds a notification about the mission reward being sent. Do you accept it or not? Jinwoo was about to receive the reward when suddenly a nurse walked in. Seeing Jinwoo in such decline, she panicked and shouted, "Oh my God, what's going on? I need some help." Early in the morning, they discussed Jinwoo's situation. The nurse next to him said that today he had just regained consciousness for a few days and went jogging. The other nurse continued to ask, "What did the doctor say about this?" Seeing that, she replied that the doctor said that hunters recover faster than normal people, so a few light exercises would be fine. Now he's still running. Is this light exercise okay? How many hours has he been running? 4 days after waking up, Jinwoo realized a few things. First, what appears before your eyes is not an illusion. Even though no one saw it, he could see it clearly. After completing the mission, the system rewards body recovery. Magic can restore your fatigue after training. The pent-up fatigue in the body suddenly disappeared as if it had never existed. Not only that, you also get stat points and random item boxes. You can increase your stats as long as you have points. In this system, all of Jinwoo's stats, status, skills, and inventory are fully displayed like a game. It feels like being controlled by something. He couldn't believe that everything was true. Jinwoo approached the receptionist and asked if he could be discharged from the hospital today. She said okay, but where are you going? Jinwoo replied, "I have some things to take care of." At Hapjeong Station, Jinwoo picked up a blue key. This is the key he received as a random quest reward. This key allows him to create a dungeon immediately and can be used at the third entrance of Hapjeong Station. Quest reward status window. Perhaps all of this is due to double awakening or the process of achieving double awakening. He held the key tightly in his hand. Jinwoo continued, "If so, this is worth a try. The weakest person in the world receives a double awakening. If everyone else hears it, they will laugh. But I'm confident in my ability to run, so if there's danger like last time, I'll run at all costs." Saying that, Jinwoo inserted the key into the door and it began to glow with a powerful blue energy. Lightning bolts were continuously released. Jinwoo courageously gradually entered that space. The system notifies you that you have entered the dungeon. The entrance gradually closed, making Jinwoo scared. But the surprising thing is that everyone else can walk normally. This is truly another dimension. It's different from normal dungeons. Jinwoo had never seen it before, but it was similar to that gate. He was confused and didn't know what to do because the path was blocked. The system informs you that you will not be able to leave the dungeon without killing the boss or using a return crystal. Jinwoo thought that in the past, he had trouble with E-rank monsters, and now he had to go to the dungeon alone. The murderous aura radiating from inside the dark place sent chills down Jinwoo's spine. Can he defeat that monster? Inside the ruined scene is extremely scary. Our Jinwoo walked in quietly in fear, not knowing what could happen to him. Jinwoo is also not confident and does not know what to do next. The foul smell in this place is so strong that there is definitely a monster. As expected, a monster showed its fangs towards Jinwoo. The mouth is so big it can swallow almost everything. Jinwoo watched it gradually avoid the attack. Even 1 or 2 goblins are already hard enough for me. So not sure if I can fight it again. The wolf here was aggressive and seemed to want to devour Jinwoo. His legs suddenly trembled and could no longer move. Why is that? Surely it was because he was trembling with fear. The wolf monster approached to attack. Jinwoo continuously dodged its deadly attacks. The monster that attacked Jinwoo gradually dodged. Jinwoo realized that his body was very light. He really escaped death. Jinwoo's courage broke out. He clenched his fists and gathered a stream of power that burst out from nowhere. Jinwoo swung his fist at the ferocious wolf. With a loud sound, it flew 10 meters away and hit straight into the door. When Jinwoo saw this scene, he was immediately surprised. Because of his strength, it seemed that the monster was still very strong. Once again it approached, but this time Jinwoo did not run away but chose to face it directly. The monster was continuously beaten by Jinwoo, a series of punches hitting its head. But the more the monster was beaten, the more ferocious it became. Normal physical attacks cannot damage it. While fighting, Jinwoo still couldn't trust himself. You won't do anything without healers or a group. All you have is this body. If there was a magic weapon. Speaking of this, Jinwoo realized he had a whole inventory and remembered it. Jinwoo swung his hand out from the inventory and pulled out a sword. You still don't understand why it's here. But in the end, Jinwoo still cut the vicious wolf in half. This seems to be the sword that Mr. Kim Sang-shik left behind in the double cave. System notification. Congratulations, you have killed Raken. You have leveled up. Jinwoo thought to himself that Mr. Kim bought this sword for 3 million won. Jinwoo had never used such an expensive sword before. One by one the other Raken wolves approached. Now that Jinwoo has a weapon, he doesn't need to be afraid anymore. But suddenly Jinwoo couldn't lift the sword anymore and those Rakens were about to approach. Jinwoo's will once again broke out. He finally swung his sword again and cut down one of the remaining cubs, gnawing on Jinwoo's sword. At this moment, his will was seething, and he swung with all his might to cut off that wolf's head. Silently looking at the wolves lying on the ground, Jinwoo exclaimed, "Compared to the monsters over there, you guys are really too weak." After killing several monsters in succession, Jinwoo's strength stats are increased. It seems that leveling up monster hunting is more effective. Jinwoo still doesn't know how strong he will become. After each level up, even his intelligence stat and sensitivity have parameters. The most noticeable thing is that the power has been increased up to 10 points. It is definitely a significant change. Jinwoo finally understood somewhat. He didn't know how much stronger he would become. See, it seemed like he overreacted a bit when he had just defeated 2 monsters, not knowing if they would drop any magic cores inside. You thought every monster had a magic core, but it seems this is an exception. Jinwoo noticed that this was like being controlled by a system similar to a game and that the things created here were also a part of it. So for that reason it drops items instead of magic cores. The system said, Raken's Fang. Type, junk. You can keep each of Raken's large and sharp teeth or sell them to the store. Jinwoo opened a store instead of selling. He tried to click buy, but the system said that Jinwoo was not level enough to buy. The system continues to ask, "Do you want to sell Raken's teeth?" Jinwoo confirmed. It immediately paid Jinwoo 20 gold. Jinwoo doubted what practical value it had. Maybe this dungeon is only at E rank level, so it probably isn't worth much. Jinwoo is currently thinking about how to escape from here without defeating the boss. Soon he would run out of food. Even if the boss was E rank, it would still be too much for Jinwoo. But when he thought about it, he thought it wouldn't be the case, so he leveled up. Jinwoo then went crazy to destroy the remaining wolves. Killing one and another came. Jinwoo's eyes were firm. "I'm sure it's nothing. I've actually died before." Then Jinwoo used all his strength to rush straight into the wolves, swinging his swords like a storm. Wherever the sword slash goes, the wolves die. Suddenly, one bit Jinwoo's shoulder. He angrily turned to give it a stab. Jinwoo's fighting spirit in his heart is really strong right now. "I won't die easily in this place, so don't expect to die easily." After saying that, he rushed at the speed of light and cut through the wolves. They immediately lay down at Jinwoo's feet. "You can't give up. You have to overcome your limits. If you give up, you'll die here. If you die, you won't be able to protect the people you want and you'll lose everything, so you can't bow your head like a weak person." If he can become stronger, Jinwoo is willing to obey these silly rules. The sound of killing continuously rang out. The battle was still extremely fierce. Wherever Jinwoo dragged the sword, the corpses of the monsters lay there. The system announced that Jinwoo had received the title of Wolf Slayer. Quietly looking at the sword in his hand after the battle, it seemed like it had cracked after destroying all the monsters and would definitely be irreparable. Remember when Jinwoo bought a dagger for 50,000 won before? Although hunting monsters is somewhat easier, after a while it completely breaks down when fighting the boss. That day, he only obtained 3 magic cores. Since then, Jinwoo did not dare to buy any more expensive weapons. Jinwoo lifted the sword to look at it, then smiled and said, "Even when it was heavily damaged, you still managed to fight alone. Thank you very much." The system board announces that the title of Wolf Slayer is given to those who are proficient in killing wolves, increasing the experience gained by 40% when destroying monsters belonging to wild beasts. Jinwoo looked at the inventory. 34 raken wolf teeth, 2 blunt knives, a leather jacket, and a stone that holds more heat than I thought. He held the stone in his hand. Jinwoo decided not to return but continued to fight, holding the stone tightly in his hand. Jinwoo was determined that he would have a chance to become stronger like this. What happens when you use the heart stone, or does it just disappear? In the end, Jinwoo thought he was still being held in the palm of something unknown like Sun Wukong in the palm of the Buddha's hand. Jinwoo's steady eyes looked forward to advance or retreat, putting the stone in his inventory. Jinwoo slowly moved forward to continue killing those monsters. He was continuously promoted. The more Jinwoo leveled up, the easier it became to fight them, the more different monsters he destroyed. Jinwoo felt more and more clearly that he gradually became stronger. These monsters generate continuously, unlike normal dungeons. Jinwoo felt like they were simulated creatures in a game. If so, Jinwoo would find out where it appeared. He looked up at the ceiling and saw a monkey followed by a cat appearing next to him. Jinwoo slashed and stabbed several times in a row and they were destroyed. Jinwoo looked at the wolf in front of him and said, "It seems its color changes depending on its strength. White means weak, orange means strong, and red means very strong." At first, the raken was orange, then it became white. It seemed Jinwoo had gotten a little stronger. Even with his current strength, Jinwoo wasn't sure if he was capable of defeating the guys down there. The murderous aura below emitted a cold atmosphere of fear that enveloped Jinwoo, making him sweat in fear. Although the indexes had increased significantly, Jinwoo couldn't really predict what would happen ahead. How strong can they be? Jinwoo's level was increasing slowly and the sword seemed to be unable to hold on any longer, but Jinwoo still decided to head towards the basement. He slowly walked towards the stairs. Jinwoo approached an extremely strange place and suddenly, from somewhere, a black shadow rushed to attack Jinwoo at an extremely fast speed. Jinwoo brought out his sword to block the attack, but the shadow's power was too great, causing him to be thrown into the wall and spit out a mouthful of blood. The sword in his hand was also broken after that powerful blow. Jinwoo panicked. "My sword!" Jinwoo quietly looked at the monster in front of him named Swamp's Ruler, Blue Poison Fangs Rasaka. Even though it has become stronger, the monster is still orange. He asked him, "Are you the boss here?" Jinwoo then slowly held his sword and advanced towards the beast. The ferocious beast looked towards Jinwoo and let out a shrill scream. The body is several tens of meters tall. Jinwoo stood looking at it and thought to himself, his sword could not penetrate its super thick skin, and of course the punches were ineffective. The snake here looked at Jinwoo, then decisively rushed towards him. It bared its teeth, showing two long fangs like two swords. Jinwoo quickly dodged and then counterattacked. A series of slashes hit the snake's body, but it seemed unharmed. Jinwoo tried to take advantage of the weight to increase the damage of the attack combined with the speed to weaken the skin protecting the snake's body, but how to deal with the thick skin? You don't have a way. The snake still frantically attacked Jinwoo. The powerful attack stunned Jinwoo. Although he was very agile in dodging the attack, in the end he was still hit, causing Jinwoo to flip around a few times. He thought he had gotten stronger, but in reality, he was still too weak. At this moment, Jinwoo tightly grasped the sword in his hand with the determination to become stronger so that he could escape his past as the weakest among hunters. Jinwoo remembered the conversation between himself and Mr. Song. He said, "People always say you are the weakest person in the world. You have to prove yourself." Returning to the battle, Jinwoo this time did not run away but chose to face the evil snake directly. He shouted angrily, "That nickname stuck because I'm weak. But that weakness is not something for you to make fun of." He advanced towards the snake, his attacks continuously coming out as if he was venting all the anger he had never dared to express until now. Jinwoo finally realized that strength was the pressure that made him bow his head and tremble. You hypocrites won't protect you no matter what your opponent does. Pure power will overwhelm everything. Fear will make you fall. The determination in Jinwoo's heart grew more and more. The more Jinwoo recalls those memories, the more he realizes things. He also commented that he came here to become stronger and become a different person. The snake swung another blow. Jinwoo continued to be thrown into the wall. He dragged his tired body to stand up. His eyes at this moment contained many thoughts along with anger and determination to gain strength. Jinwoo still continued to attack the snake. One attack, two attacks, three attacks was still nothing compared to the monster from before. Compared to the fear then, it was nothing now. Saying that, Jinwoo held his broken sword and rushed in front of the snake again. A powerful blow passed through its body, causing it to scream in pain. It quickly turned to attack towards Jinwoo, but he quickly grabbed its neck. He swung onto the vicious snake. Jinwoo used his hand to squeeze its throat. It turned out that he had increased all his stat points into strength. "Is that how much you weigh?" Before he finished speaking, the snake screamed in pain. It used its body to rub against the wall so that Jinwoo would fall, but with his efforts, Jinwoo could still cling to it. He shouted again, "Die, die." The snake finally vomited blood. Back at the hospital, the doctor asked the nurse, "Some Jinwoo hasn't returned to your room yet." She confirmed that it was true. He went out since morning. The doctor was curious and asked why he hadn't come back yet. The nurse continued to say that his body recovered very well and would soon be discharged from the hospital. The doctor gently replied that for hunters it was not certain. "We must stabilize his health completely. They say that high-ranking hunters are very rich but low-ranking hunters don't have much money, not to mention the job is very dangerous. I don't understand why they keep doing that." Thinking about the injuries of the hunter brought to the hospital made him shiver. The nurse was curious and asked why. He continued to say that he didn't know what they did in the dungeon either. Their injuries were grotesque. Their bodies are covered in blood, which is completely different from people who usually have accidents. It's great that in that condition they are still alive. She said in amazement that it wasn't a miracle that they returned from the dungeon alive. He said not at all. Even if they are the weakest hunters, they are still much stronger than ordinary people. Hunters themselves are monsters. Here the system sound is constantly announcing, "You have leveled up, you have leveled up." Jinwoo burst out laughing in joy. "Haha, I think I've become stronger again." Whole body full of fatigue, Jinwoo lay with his back against the snake and looked up to see the system notification that you had killed the swamp's ruler, Blue Poison Fang's Rasaka. After the battle, Jinwoo's clothes and weapons were all destroyed. His whole body was sore, but in return he received a dagger that was better than Mr. Kim Sang-shik's sword. A dagger made from teeth, not bone. The attack point is twice as high as Mr. Kim's sword and also has paralysis and bleeding effects. Also, Rasaka's venom bag is a Reika item. A pure venom bag from Rasaka is obtained when defeating Rasaka. The drop rate is very low. Drinking it will make your skin stronger but reduce strength. The effect reduces damage taken by 20% but muscle weakening reduces strength by 35%. Once completed, all scenes return to normal. Jinwoo looked around not knowing what time it was. Suddenly a soldier came from behind and asked him who he was and how he got into the train station. Didn't you hear the emergency announcement? Jinwoo saw the government soldiers and asked, "What's going on?" The soldier saw Jinwoo holding a sword and asked if he was a hunter. Before Jinwoo could speak, the soldier immediately said, "Sorry, let me guide you. Hunter, please go this way." Jinwoo didn't understand why the soldier suddenly changed his attitude. What happened? Outside the city, corpses of monsters lay scattered across the desolate landscape. Jinwoo looked at the situation as it seemed like a portal had opened recently. He asked the other soldier, "Did the monsters come through the gate?" The emergency soldier replied, "The monsters around here have been cleared, only the biggest one remains." Jinwoo turned his gaze forward after the battle. Jinwoo's fighting strength and senses of perception had increased. He could sense the boss's current position. Over here, the monster is destroying the city. The hunters are constantly attacking it, but it seems to be unharmed. Government soldiers are quickly evacuating the crowd and reporters are quickly leaving the dangerous area. They are constantly chatting. What are the hunters doing? When are they going to fight? I hope they take it down quickly. The city is in ruins. The damage is countless. A hunter here shouted, "Healer, please heal the tank." The healers say they're doing their best. Where are the main hunters? Why does he attack without any harm? He replied, "Its defense is too high, and we don't have any magicians here." Jinwoo here quietly considered the situation. The hunters were not cooperating with each other at all. Their rank is too low, 8 E rank and 1 D rank, but that D rank is a tanker so he doesn't do much damage. Everyone is gradually exhausted. Healer has 2 D ranks and 1. Jinwoo looked towards that person, a very big girl. "Hey, what are you doing? I need to heal. You said you were a B rank healer." Joo-hee was bewildered due to the psychological trauma from before still remaining. The other girl continued to shout. Joo-hee used her healing ability and kept apologizing to the other girl. While trying to recover that hunter girl, Joo-hee remembered the scary scene from before that made her very scared. But if she ran away, no one would help everyone. Jinwoo here saw Joo-hee's appearance and exclaimed, "Even though a week has passed, she still hasn't overcome her mental trauma." "That's true, and so have I." Saying this, Jinwoo's eyes changed. He swung his broken sword forward, "Otherwise I have to overcome it." After a quick look, Jinwoo judged that the boss was only about D rank. Compared to the boss just defeated, the rank is much lower. If I can weaken its armor, then I can do that. I need to muster up a blow strong enough to penetrate that stupid rock. Jinwoo's arms were now muscular. He put all his strength into this attack. "Let's move forward." Jinwoo spun around. The broken sword was released and rushed towards the giant stone monster. The new hunter said, "If this continues, we will all die." The girl next to her asked, "If no high-ranking hunter comes, the tank in front will die." The female healer said again, "What do you want me to do? My mana is also about to run out." Suddenly a powerful attack came out of nowhere and hit the monster's head. It fell down. The hunters took that opportunity to continuously attack the beast, eventually defeating it. Everyone cheered. "We succeeded." A hunter here suddenly thought, "What? From now on we've just been scratching its itch and then suddenly it's defeated. Or not. We can't do anything about it. Whose throw was that earlier? It was the throw that caused the monster to be defeated. What is it that blows this rock's head away?" The tank noticed a broken sword pinned to the monster's body. A boss golem that fought on par with 10 hunters was defeated by a broken sword. "Who is?" Then he turned to ask a soldier standing nearby, "Did you see anyone throw this?" The soldier urgently answered, "There was a hunter over there," but when he turned around to look, Jinwoo had disappeared without a trace. His destructive power is terrible. He is a top-rank hunter. Jinwoo here didn't think he would die with just one throw, probably because his health was low. Judy here seemed to have seen Jinwoo's silhouette. The current system panel reported Jinwoo's body stats. The next morning at the hospital, Jinwoo is trying his best to practice the exercises that the system gives every day. We could see how great Jinwoo's body is. He constantly practiced crunches and push-ups and sweated profusely. Suddenly, a nurse walked in and saw Jinwoo's amazing body, making her blush. Jinwoo apologized to the nurse, but she shyly turned away and said, "It's okay, because it's her fault after all." Jinwoo over here was putting on his shirt when she stole a glance at him and kept praising him. "This patient's body looks like it's been sculpted." Seeing Jinwoo looking at her, the nurse frantically asked, "Do you want to be discharged from the hospital today?" Jinwoo calmly replied, "Yes." After saying that, the nurse gave the phone to Jinwoo and wanted to ask for his phone number. Jinwoo naively thought that the hospital had test results that needed to be sent to him later, so he naively gave it to the girl. There too, at an apartment where the two Jinwoo brothers lived, Jinha was preparing to go to school when Jinwoo was still sleepy and ran out to ask, "Sung Jin, are you going to school now?" Hearing that, she turned to ask Jinwoo, "Are you awake?" But when he turned down and saw Jinwoo's abs, he suddenly asked, "Brother, have you been working out lately?" Jinwoo said he had been working out a bit. His younger sister Jinha ran up to Jinwoo's body and told him that Jinwoo's body was firmer and taller than before.